Look, before you even think about signing that legal contract or handing over your hard-earned cash for a retainer fee here in Colorado, you need to stop and ask yourself one absolutely critical question. Is the person fighting for your rights actually legally allowed to do so? Well, let's dive right into this explainer and find out.
Seriously, imagine hiring a lawyer to defend you in a massive, life-changing case, only to find out later down the line that they're inactive, suspended, or just straight up lacking good standing. I mean, it is a total nightmare scenario, right? It could entirely jeopardize your case, your finances, and your legal rights. So before you ever engage legal services, verifying your attorney's credentials is literally the single most important piece of due diligence you can possibly perform.
So, to prevent that nightmare from ever happening to you, we're going to quickly run through exactly how this works. We'll look at the watchdogs, how to decode bar statuses, a step-by-step search guide, some common mistakes to avoid, disciplinary red flags, and finally, our wrap-up.
Okay, Section 1, the watchdogs. Before we can check a status, we kind of need to understand who actually makes and enforces the rules in Colorado.
Now, a lot of people just assume the Colorado Bar Association holds all the power here. But actually, they don't issue licenses at all. While the Bar Association is this fantastic professional organization that hosts secondary directories, the true regulatory power, the real heavy hitter, is the Colorado Supreme Court and its Office of Attorney Regulation Counsel, or the OARC. They are the ones handling all the licensing, the ethical policing, and the discipline. Operating right out of the Ralph L. Carr Judicial Center in Denver, the OARC is basically the ultimate watchdog, protecting the public from abuses. They monitor the entire life cycle of a legal practitioner. We're talking from those rigorous fitness reviews when they first apply all the way to their retirement, or, if things go really wrong, their disciplinary hearings. And crucially, they maintain the official database that we're going to be using today.
Moving on to Section 2, decoding bar statuses. Let's actually translate these complex regulatory terms into what they genuinely mean for you as a consumer.
Okay, so an attorney's standing is defined by these distinct registration statuses, and you absolutely need to know what they mean. The most crucial point, only an active status allows an attorney to practice law and give you legal advice in Colorado. That's it. If you see inactive, they literally cannot give you legal advice. A lot of times, attorneys do this just to save on fees and skip continuing education so they can, go play golf, which is totally fine for them, but they cannot represent you in court. And a suspended status? Yeah, that means a temporary loss of rights, usually tied to disciplinary action or, at the very least, failing to pay their fees.
And then, there's the absolute worst-case scenario. Disbarment. If you look up an attorney and see a disbarment on their record, that means their license is permanently revoked. They are entirely ineligible for reinstatement and must not, under any circumstances, offer you legal services, period.
All right, Section 3, our step-by-step search guide. We've talked about the theory, so let's get practical and see how you can actually pull up an attorney's file yourself.
It's surprisingly simple. Step 1, just grab their first and last name, or their state bar number if you have it. Step 2, head over to the official OARC Attorney Search Portal online. Step 3, type it in, boom. You've got real-time access to their public file. What you're looking to confirm here is that they actually exist in the system, they hold an active license, and they have zero hidden disciplinary history. If the attorney isn't listed at all, that is an immediate red flag, and you should contact the Office of Attorney Registration directly to figure out what's going on. Now, while the ORC portal is the absolute ultimate authority, you can also use secondary directories to help find representation. The Colorado Bar Association has a licensed lawyer directory, and groups like the Colorado Criminal Defense Bar have their own rosters. These are really great for searching by geographical region or specific practice areas. But why does this matter? Well, because if a lawyer advertises themselves as a specialist, you need to know that's just a self-declared title. Colorado doesn't officially certify attorneys as specialists, so please don't be fooled by flashy marketing.
Moving right along to Section 4, tips and common mistakes. To make sure you're doing this verification process perfectly, we need to cover some major pitfalls people stumble into.
Okay, here is a massive pitfall: confusing state and federal courts. If your case is federal, you actually have extra homework to do. Federal licensure is managed completely independently from the state. A lawyer could be perfectly active in the state system, but completely blocked in federal court just for missing a simple fee. You always have to check the completely separate federal tool to confirm they are in good standing to e-file and practice in federal court. Another thing, If you're involved in a formal legal proceeding, a big financial transaction, or maybe an out-of-state bar admission that strictly requires verified proof of licensure, do not just rely on a simple website printout. It won't cut it. You have to request an official certificate of good standing directly from the Office of Attorney Registration. And one last quick tip here. Don't confuse licensed legal paraprofessionals, or LLPs, with full attorneys. LLPs are great, but their scope is heavily restricted, mostly to family law.
Okay, Section 5, Red Flags and Discipline. Let's see how all this knowledge helps us identify the bad actors. What exactly happens when an attorney's record isn't clean?
Listen, if you request proof of standing and a lawyer suddenly cannot produce a certificate of good standing, you need to pay very close attention. In cases where an attorney isn't in good standing, whether that's due to administrative, voluntary, or disciplinary actions, the court is instead going to issue an affidavit of suspension or withdrawal. If your prospective attorney hands you this highly confidential document instead of a standard certificate of good standing, consider that a massive, flashing warning sign. Walk away.
There's also another really critical resource, the Public Registry for Out-of-State Practitioners. Believe it or not, the Colorado Supreme Court actually asserts disciplinary jurisdiction over unadmitted out-of-state attorneys if they are practicing law locally. The OARC maintains a specific registry of these individuals dating all the way back to 2008. So, checking this registry is an absolutely vital step if you're working with an attorney whose primary office is outside of Colorado.
And finally, Section 6, Wrap-Up and Legal Disclaimer. Let's quickly recap the most important takeaways from our deep dive today.
The absolute biggest takeaway here, protecting yourself takes exactly 5 minutes. Just spend that time on the OARC website. Always demand an active status, check the federal system if your case requires it, and honestly, never be afraid to ask direct questions about their background. It is your right as a consumer. Now, please note our required legal disclaimer. While this explainer empowers you with the practical tools and a solid understanding of Colorado's regulatory landscape, it does not serve as formal legal advice. You should always consult appropriate legal professionals or authorities if you have specific legal concerns or need tailored guidance for your unique situation.
Knowing how to navigate these directories puts the power back exactly where it belongs, in your hands. So before you sign on that next dotted line, ask yourself, do you truly know who is fighting for your rights, or are you just taking their word for it?